Sanbanani, Ikamala Mumbadi and Mayapi, and welcome to another episode of Context Corner. Now, you know what it is? It's the 16th of June, so it means we are celebrating Youth Day. Now, you've probably been hearing about Youth Day since you learned how to read. So, we're not gonna go in depth with everything. The question of the day is, what does Youth Day mean to you? So at TUT, on the 16th of June, they usually have the annual Semzima Foundation seminar. Semzima, if you don't know who that is the man that took Ipik Hector Peterson on the 16th of June 1976. While many students died that day, the picture of Hector Peterson is the one that got more waves or more famous. I don't know if those are the right words to even use in the context of the picture, that is. Anyway, the youth of 1976 didn't want Africans to be a medium of instruction in school and felt that it dictated where they would end up working, who they would end up working under. It started in the streets of Soweto and it went all the way all around the country. As much as the 16th of June is associated with Youth Day, it didn't stop there and it went on until probably early the next year. We could say that they were fighting to decolonize education, something that we still fight for now. We're fighting for an education system and curriculum that recognizes us, that doesn't brush off when it teaches us about our history because it seems uncomfortable. An education system that we can also access despite where we come from or our financial means. One of the first things that they did on the day of the march was burn and loot beer halls. Which brings me to a recent conversation that we have been having as a country about alcoholism. As much as we're a country that likes having fun, we have seen the numbers of how much we consume alcohol in the country skyrocket, especially during COVID, which I believe it was from stress and unemployment and a lot of things just going on around us at the same time. I also believe that it has led to more social ills like the high crime rate and GBV going up the way it is right now. Just to touch up on the story of beer halls, I've always wondered why in one street, Elokshini, you would find like 2 taverns. And I was like, do black people not have any other business idea? But then I just didn't know. So I think last year when I was reading a lot of books about women in South Africa, because I was trying to do an episode for Women's Day. Unfortunately, that episode ended up not coming out. But I read about beer halls. So, just to take it back, men started leaving their homes to go to the cities to find jobs so that they can provide for their families. But as time went on, men are not reliable people. They stopped going home and they stopped sending money home. And so that meant women leaving the children with their mothers and coming to the city to now find work and provide for the family. Finding a job proved to be hard, and ding ding ding, an idea came. Women started making umqombothi and sold it from their households. To make what? To make guap. To make that money. Now, umqombothi is a traditional beer. And it is a staple drink in most South African cultures. This is like back in the 1900s. And then, back then, white people used to be like jealous people. So like around 1909, they were like, no, Beer Natives Act, which prohibited these women from selling traditional beer. Like I said, very jealous people. Like, it's just one way to take food from my mouth. Shebeen Queens, as they were called back then, they don't like this. From like 1909 till like the 1930s, they are fighting, looting these businesses because like that's my idea. But things change around the 1930s, where now remember that women are not allowed in these beer halls. And now they're realizing, we're not making money. The men are wasting money more now in these beer halls. And now this feels like a second time where black families are broken. First, when the men left their homes to go to the city. Now, it's the second time with alcohol, where men are no longer providing for their families and they're spending money in these beer halls, which were predominantly in areas where black people either worked or lived. So this was just intentional. Now it isn't just Shebeen Queens fighting against beer halls. Now it is mothers. Now it is wives. Now it is the matriarchs of the household fighting to keep their families together. But it isn't until the 16th of June 1959 where a white man dies in one of the beer halls in Gwamaimai, where the Minister of Bantu administration now decides, let's shut them down. But they were not all shut down, nor were they shut down for long, which is why others were still burnt in 1976 by the youth in Soweto. Now you realize that these areas still exist. It's just a matter of you seeing a place and asking yourself, when was it created? Why was it created? That is how you learn your history. But then again, this episode is neither about 1976 nor about the beer halls. It's really about how I feel as a young black woman in South Africa on the 49th anniversary of Youth Day. Growing up as a black girl in South Africa is a journey of contradictions, beauty and struggle, strength and vulnerability, progress and resistance. There's a joy in childhood, in learning to navigate the world with curiosity, but even in those early years, the weight of expectation begins to settle. The world starts shaping you before you even understand its rules. As you step into womanhood, the shift is unmistakable. You're no longer just a girl. You are expected to carry responsibility, to embody resilience, to understand that freedom is not always freely given. The systems around you, political, economic, cultural, have already decided what your path should look like. Education is meant to empower, yet the barriers remain. Opportunities exist, yet they feel reserved for a select few. To be young and black in South Africa is to know that the fight for equality is far from over. The system itself often dictates your movement. It decides whether your dreams are achievable or just distant ambitions. The workplace reminds you that gender still influences power dynamics, that being a woman means proving your worth twice over. The streets remind you that safety is never guaranteed, that even in independence there is caution. The laws may promise protection, but society still whispers its own rules, shaping what is deemed acceptable for a woman to be, to say, to want. Yet in all of this, there is undeniable power. The lessons of the past generations pulse beneath your skin, the ones who marched, who spoke, who refused to be silenced. Their stories teach you that systems, no matter how deeply rooted, can be challenged. They teach you that womanhood is not just survival, it is defiance, creation, and transformation. To be a young black woman in South Africa today is to exist at a crossroads between past and future, oppression and progress, expectation and choice. But within that space, there is a voice that refuses to be ignored, a force that refuses to be contained. The systems may try to shape you, but they cannot define you. And that is power. The weight of uncertainty sits heavy sometimes. This quiet questioning of whether the steps you take truly matter, whether they carve out paths for others or simply exist in the vastness of time. The pressure to succeed, to justify your existence through achievement, to meet society's unspoken rules of what it means to be a woman. It all collides with the deeper need for authenticity. To live truthfully is to wrestle with expectation, to constantly choose between conformity and self definition, and yet, purpose isn't always loud. It doesn't always arrive with clarity or grand declarations. Sometimes purpose is found in persistence, in the way you rise each morning despite doubts, in the way you keep moving forward when the road isn't clear. Maybe, just maybe, purpose is not a destination, but the quiet decision to live fully, even when the world tells you how you should exist. The youth of 1976 understood education as more than just schooling. It was access to power, a tool for liberation, a pathway to dignity. They fought because they knew that being forced to learn in Afrikaans meant being forced into a system that it was designed to keep them at a disadvantage, one that dictated their future before they even had a chance to dream. Their resistance wasn't just about language, it was about breaking a cycle of oppression. Fast forward to today, and we have to ask ourselves, are we still fighting for education, or have we settled for the bare minimum? When the system allows a low pass rates, when the literacy rates are staggering, when so many young people enter adulthood unprepared, what does that say about the way education is valued now? The youth of 1976 fought for something better. Are we living up to that fight? We have voices, resources, and opportunities they never had. But do we use them with the same fire? Do we demand more? Or have we learned to adjust to broken systems instead of challenging them? And beyond education, what else are we letting slip? Is it our power, our unity, our future? And that is it from me today. I am Umbali Ndlemayapi. This is Context Corner. Please remember to follow us on our social media platforms, which is YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And that is at context_corner. Thank you very much for listening. I love you.